And so now, guys, let's get to the women, because unlike the men, the women have been on an absolute tear for nearly 30 years, longer than all of us have been alive. Marcus, I think you're around the same age range as us. Longer than all of us have been alive, because ever since 1996, the U.S. women have not lost a fucking game. Point blank, period. 61 games in a row. 8 straight gold medals for the women. But that almost came to an end on Sunday because France came to play. And in our Stats Over Politics fantasy football group chat, I think it was Uncle Manny who brought up the over-under for the men's and women's game. I said, take the women, minus the points, guaranteed money. I thought that was free money. And then with the men, I was like, I don't feel confident about that. I could not have been more wrong. And, shout out to the France women because they absolutely proved me wrong.
French women.
Well, we got Gavin Williams to start out, who should be in the WNBA right now. She's not on.
Oh, yeah, I thought something about that.
Oh, you mean Gavin Williams was going to come on the podcast?
Oh, yeah, I do mean that, Gabby Williams. I do. Soon, hopefully. So Gabby Williams, former member of the Seattle Storm, UConn Husky, she was the star for that France women's basketball team. But also, shout out to Maureen Johannes, who is out there looking like white chocolate Jason Williams, just throwing passes behind the head, behind the back, like nothing. And she is a member of the New York Liberty. She hasn't played for the Liberty this year because she had to be a part of the French training camp, and the WNBA has put in new rules limiting players, basically saying you can't show up to training camp late. You can't show up to the season late. If you don't show up on time, you can't play. And so it's unfortunate for Maureen, but, she wanted to play for her country, and understandably so. But before we get to USA versus France Part 2, the women did play against Australia in the semifinals, and they handled Australia 85-64. What shocked me so much about this final for the women is the fact that they actually were in a competitive game. Because we haven't, we saw it in the WNBA All-Star game when Team USA lost. But other than that, we haven't seen them in a competitive game at all. And so having the game come down to 1 point, 67-66 against the French women, and even Gabby Williams hoisted what could have been a game-time shot if her momentum didn't take her past that three-point line where it was clearly a two-pointer, but still, hell of a shot off the backboard. Did she call bang? Probably not, but, anyways, Kevin, just tossing it to you first. What did you think about the U.S. women not only winning their 61st straight Olympic game, but their 8th straight gold medal?
Dominance. Asia Wilson's coming in night after night. They got Brittany Griner. And this team, for the record that they have, 61 straight wins, this team showed up to the first game of the Olympics, and there's a kid with a sign saying, you need Caitlin Clark to beat us. Y'all like none without Caitlin. So good to come in with that torch. And
he looked like a genius. I will say that for the first however long it was. He looked like a genius.
Well, that was against Japan. He didn't look like a genius for probably 90% of the tournament. But anyways.
So it was a great showing. Losing or almost losing that game and winning by 1. I know Twitter's going to go crazy saying, well, if Caleb was there, it would have been double digits for Angel Reese. And they're at the point in their program with the USA women's team is they kind of the same with the men. They have a lot of players that are transition.
Yeah.
We're not going to see a Taurasi next time.
No.
There's a lot of these guys, probably not a Brittany Griner. Angel Wilson up there in age. Because another thing that you guys don't take into consideration is
Asia's only 28.
They have to do 4 years of college. Yeah. A lot of these guys come out at 18.
Yep.
So we get to see a lot more of an Olympic career. So for these women to come in at 22.
Basically it's either after 3 years of college.
Yeah. So you're coming in late with NIL. We've seen a lot of girls stay more years because unfortunately you can make a lot more money in college.
And that's crazy to say.
Yeah. But
it's reality.
So, in 2028, we will see the next generation for not only the men, but the women's team. So I'm really looking forward to that. We saw some women's rosters. I sent you on Instagram. I don't know if you saw the page back.
That's gonna be the best women's team ever.
In LA, the Olympics are going to be fun.
It's going to be in LA
now.
Yeah.
With the Olympics.
Oh wow.
the one player that was actually, you know what? No, never mind. I'm gonna correct myself. I think she actually was on it, but the one name that we haven't said yet, Cameron Brink, is also going to likely be on that 28-28 women's basketball team. Another player who currently resides in LA, even though she's out for the rest of the season with a torn ACL. But Jaevon, what did you think about this final? Because as I mentioned, the women weren't really challenged throughout the entire Olympics until we got to this final, and they barely pull it out. At one point, Asia Wilson, she finishes with 21 points in this final, 13 rebounds. She was the MVP for the women. And just what did you think overall about them getting their 8th straight gold?
Yeah, Asia Wilson, she got a gold medal. She's probably gonna win MVP of the league.
Yeah,
might as well just.
Did she win European MVP?
European MVP
Who for the Olympics?
Oh yes, yeah. She was the Olympics MVP, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, so you might as well just give her the trophy now. I don't know what's the.
She should have honestly. Like, I'm sorry to cut you off, but like, I'm a Liberty fan. Last year, Brianna Stewart won the MVP. Asia should have won the MVP. And that would have been her 2nd in a row. This year would have. She sure did. And her second consecutive Finals MVP, and all. Or excuse me, that was her second consecutive title. She won Finals MVP because Chelsea Gray had won it the previous year. But anyway, Asia would be going for her 3rd straight regular season MVP, if not for last year. But she continues to show why she's the greatest in the world.
I just think the U.S. men's and women's have the best athletes in the world. You kind of showed it why get kind of a little close at the end. But even going back to Asia's interview at the end, what do you think about Kulikova? She said that bitch. I thought that was awesome.
It's hilarious.
I think without Asia Wilson, they probably don't win gold.
Yeah.
She's just that special. Who would you guys compare Asia Wilson to the NBA right now? 2-time champion. What? She's
a better finishing man on a while.
Nice comparison.
I like how you said that. Her accolades don't compare to Bam's.
No, I'm saying she's the player. They're probably like not the same size, but he's a smaller guard or smaller big. But in her sport, she's considered tall. So, but I mean, from a playing perspective, probably.
I like Anthony Davis.
I don't know. Does she talk about shot stuff?
Yeah, she is
the
reigning defensive player of the year.
That's what I was kind of. That's why I was trying to kind of get at. Maybe she's her accolades. So it's like.
But like that's team accolades though, right? Because I mean he's a 7-time All-Star. He's been an All NBA guy.
All defense. Yeah, all defense. I think that might be a really good person.
I first thought of Nikola Jokic just based on the fact that like he's already got 3 MVPs, and so that's when you're talking about the best player in the league and also the best post in the league. I would probably say Nikola Jokic, but when you're talking, and that's based on accomplishments, but when you're talking strictly just off of
how their game
is, I would say Anthony Davis is a great comparison because she is a true two-way player, and also like we don't see it as much with AD being the fact that he's on the same team as LeBron, and LeBron is the generational player, but also the generational leader. But honestly, like she literally does everything. She does, and she's been doing that since she was in college. You go back to South Carolina, she won 1 chip, should have won 2, and now she goes to the Aces. The Aces were nothing before she got there, and now they are a juggernaut, and like they're going for their 3rd straight championship. And as much as I don't want to say it, they're likely going to probably. I mean, New York Liberty are the best team in the WNBA right now through the first half of the season. Let's not forget. But Jaevon just said 3-peat. Kevin might say 3-peat. A lot of people are going to say 3-peat. And even if my bias wasn't shining through, I might say 3-peat as well. Because, I mean, just look at this women's Olympic team. There were 4 Las Vegas Aces on this team, and
they got their own All-Star.
A majority of the games, they had 3 players starting.
Could they get the Olympic too, the Aces?
Honestly, I'm going to say no, just out of respect for all the other players. Because think about it. If you remove an Asia Wilson, Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, right? If you remove those 4 players, you're replacing them with a Caitlin Clark, with an Enrique Gubawale, with an Angel Reese, and with whoever insert.
I feel like it'd be closer than a lot of people think.
I agree. But
It's in the game series.
when you're asking just the point blank binary question of yes or no, do they beat the Olympians? I'm gonna say no. But at the same time, we just saw the WNBA All-Stars beat these Olympians. And so
For the second time.
Exactly. And shout out to Enrique Gubawale, who once again proved why she should have been an Olympian. They need to lock her in for 2028 now. And shout out to Diana Taurasi because there's a lot of slander. Jaevon said it. She's the GOAT. There was a lot of slander thrown her way because it's like, oh, you're taking Caitlin Clark's spot. You're 42 years old. Like, you don't need to be out there. And we even saw in crunch time. She wasn't on the floor. But there were moments.
Pioneer.
She is a pioneer. And whether it be after they lost that WNBA All-Star game and Diana's the one in the huddle saying, like, hey, like, we kind of expected this. And now let's make sure that we don't do that. Like, just when you talk about her experience, yeah, you could say, oh, her experience. Put her on the coaching staff rather than taking a roster spot. But, like, she is the greatest of all time.
She deserves it. As long as she's playing, she gets a spot.
And that's exactly why I'm not going to rule LeBron out. Because if LeBron says he wants to play in 2028, you give that man the spot.
44?
Diana's 42.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady played until he was. I know it's a completely different game.
I would hate to see him go just to go. I need MVP wrong. I'm not ready as a LeBron fan to see him kind of just be a Paul Pierce. No.
Yeah.
You're not Kobe. You know, just into the bench kind of guy, get a couple minutes here and there, more of a mentor. I can't believe we've gone however long we've gone on this top game, not talk about the commercial. This is why countries hate us. Have you guys seen the WNBA commercial?
Yeah.
She said every 4 years, ... These countries get together, second place. Why do countries hate us?
And, you know, honestly, I bet those Nike marketing executives were completely sweating all throughout yesterday's game because, like, it was too.
They probably the bench too.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, they probably recorded these commercials before the losing start.
100%.
So, I mean, someone brought it up, like, that would have been the second funniest thing that Jason Tatum's commercial, like, they would came back and lost. They filmed that commercial probably before the finals started.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what you going to say now? Like, what you going to say now? Just give me win this thing.
The women's and the men's. Their commercials came out.
Right away. That's how you know they recorded a while.
Well, and that's just what you got to do is you got to start planning ahead. Like, even in my career as a sports writer, like, there are plenty of times, like, if I'm writing a story on deadline because, like, the real professionals, as I like to say, the big J journalists, like, they have their article published the second that buzzer hits. And it's like, how did they do that? Like, they didn't know the outcome until 5 seconds ago. Like, how's the story already published? You're pre-writing, thinking about what you expect to happen. And a lot of times with that, you're deleting a lot. And then you're like, fuck, got to rewrite this whole story. Like, I've had times where I'm covering a game that's a 20-point blowout, and I have a story already written. And then, like, for example, I covered in the high school basketball section playoffs this past year. Woodland Christian played Appalachian Christian. There's a guy named Romello Bruin, who you guys are going to learn about pretty soon. He's going into his junior year. He plays at Woodland Christian. He is fucking massive. And they were down 26 points in the third quarter. He led that comeback, doing it with a Jason mask on because he just took an elbow to the mouth and lost like 4 teeth days prior in practice. And this guy is like a cold-blooded assassin. Anyways, I deleted everything I wrote just for them to ultimately lose by 2 points, but it's because he led that comeback charge, and you got to do a lot of preparation and a lot of pre-writing, and that's just kind of what goes into it. And it's just the game that you play when you're in a content business. Is you're just trying to get that content out there. You hope that it works out the way that you want it to. Otherwise, you're going to be doing a lot of deleting and a lot of pre-writing. But any other thoughts, guys, on the Olympics in general before we move on?
Saw Ant say something. He was like,
Listen, did you ever play FIFA games?
Oh, yeah. The FIFA World Cup.
Did you see this? Olympics. I got a spot 28. Come on.
That's the tryout team.
Tryout team. You got 3 songs to try.
And FIBA is what inspired the Kyle Kuzma tour because, like, Team USA didn't even get a medal the last time that they played in FIBA. And that was a team led by Tyrese Halliburton and Josh Hart and yeah,
Apollo. It was Apollo.
Yeah, and so, like, nothing is guaranteed, especially now that we're going to be losing the Avengers. And yeah, we're going to be getting all these great players that are going to get older and get better. But, there's a reason why those three guys are such generational talents. And I know Serbia has one. I know France has one. I know Canada has one in SGA. Okay, maybe not put SGA in that category yet, but you get the point. Yeah, well, he was the runner-up for the MVP. First team All NBA. And so, I would probably put him in that conversation. But
I wouldn't be surprised if he vetoes it. I'm going back. You can find somebody else. I ain't going.
He got 2 goals. He's all right. He's chill.
Yeah, I guess so.